Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Well, 1 week of the new year has gone by and this is the second week. I hope you all are giving in your best and moving forward in life. So today the topic that I'm drawn to talk about is lead in such a way that enables leadership. So before we dive into this, let's understand what is leadership in truest sense. Although we know what is leadership, but then leadership is what basically it is helping or supporting. I wouldn't say helping, I would rather say supporting another individual or a team to reach their fullest potential. That is leadership. When you can evoke self-leadership in another person, that's what true leadership is. Every great leader enables leadership in another person, and that's how leaders are born. That's how leaders gets created. The next generation, the second generation, and on it gets created. So a great leader gives that space, the playground where leadership can be enabled in another person. Although it sounds very easy, just giving the space, right? But to be able to really give that space, which will evoke leadership in another person, wherein you don't have to play the game of pushing, motivating, driving another person to take actions or be in sync with what is desired, required, or leverage the potential. No, you don't have to do any of that. But how can you enable leadership in individuals? Because that makes the job of a leader easy. And that is what is required, be it in organizational context, be it in any context. When you can enable leadership in another person, your job is done. You have sowed that seed in them, and now they have to, show that leadership. But of course, you have to keep enrolling. That's a different topic, and I wouldn't dive into that. But today's topic is more on how to enable that. Now, how do you enable leadership in another person? First, let's be clear with the intention. Do you really want to enable leadership in another person? And if yes, then listening to the later part of the video will make sense. But if not, then none of this is going to make any sense. Many times when I have these conversations with organizations who wants to develop their second level of leaders, or they want to develop their leadership team and all of that, my question to them is, do you really intend to do it? And if so, what is the intention behind that? What is the experience you would like to create by developing these leaders? And if that is not so great, and if it is not in sync, then I realize that it's not a true intent that they have. In the name of leadership, many a times fixing takes place. Many a times answering questions, providing solutions, firefighting, and all of this takes place in the realm of leadership. Driving people, motivating them, energizing them, all of this. But then, if you talk about transformational leadership, which enables leadership in another, where you don't have to push them for anything, where the things will be done by them, they are the ones who would be leading themselves, then you got to do certain things. Number one, being clear with your intention, whether you would want to enable leadership or not. Second, then working on it. So before you even dive into that, it's important to be that leader who has done deep work, who has done work on all the 4 aspects of the bodies, that is intellectual, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Why holistic? Because you can't be really great at one and ignore the another. That way, you yourself will not grow to your highest potential. So to grow to your highest potential, you have to do work on the all four bodies, right? And then when you do the work, you'll be able to hold the space for another. You don't have to have all the answers, but you have to do away with certain things, like doing away with your judgments, doing away with your context, your stories, your projections, your agendas, your objectives, right? And then with an intent to really support the other person, you have to take the first step. And also, there's another important aspect when you want to enable leadership in another person. That is, you have to be with them. You have to give them that space, that playground where they can really, evoke that leadership in themselves, take actions, fail, fall, get up, and keep taking actions, and then expand their experiences, expand their horizon. But if you're unwilling to give that space, if you're unwilling to get off from that ego consciousness where it is all about me, my agenda, my work, my goal, my benefit, then you really can't enable leadership in another person. You have to get out of that ego consciousness to a different realm of service consciousness, where you have to really be supportive of the another person. And being with another person in their journey sounds very easy, but it is really, really difficult, because many times, we get caught up in creating things which we don't desire. We get caught up in uncertainties. We get caught up in solving our own dramas, our stories, and that's when the problem arises. So I'll share you my experience about what that space looks like when you be with a person and then give them that space and lean back so that their leadership can be evoked. I have had a lot of such experiences before, but I'm going to share with you the recent one yesterday when I had a session. That's a shamanic breathwork session with Prem Luca Firewolf. He's from Italy, and I was drawn to again get into a one-on-one session with him around the breathwork. And I can't tell you, this is such an amazing experience of my lifetime I had that I can't really explain you in words as to how I felt, how it was. But all I can say is that during that session, even though this was a first-time experience for me, he gave me that space. He of course gave me the tools and techniques as to how it would look like and all of that. But then once I was on the ground, struggling with the things, my own inhibitions, fears and everything, he just gave me the space to be who I am. And he sat with me, he was with me to enable leadership in me. And finally, because of his willingness to be in that discomfort beside me, willingness to be with my fears along with me, willingness to be with me, trusting me and my wisdom that I'll be able to overcome that, trusting me and my resources and my resourcefulness that I'll be able to do that. Eventually, I came across an experience which was beyond imagination. So if we can give this kind of an experience to people, then of course we can enable leadership in them. But the question is, how willing are we to do this? And if yes, then we can start right away. I know that whatever I have shared may not make sense to you all. to everybody, because there might be contradictions, and I'm okay with that, because I felt that, and this is how I see leadership, and this is how leadership has worked for me. And if you talk about transformative leadership, it really enables creativity and helps a person to develop to his or her highest potential, and hence I'm sharing with you. Before I wind up, I would definitely like to share a quote by the famous Italian sculptor, um, Michelangelo, and he says that the more the marbles waste, the more the statue grows. So the question I leave you with, are you willing to grow the statue? And to grow the statue, you have to be willing to shed the marbles, the waste, right? This means the superficiality has to be left out, and you have to go to the depth. All right, so thank you very much for listening to me, and I would really love to listen to your feedback, comments, and how this has landed with you. And if you really like what I do, what I am sharing, please do help my channel to grow. Do like and subscribe and share. And until next, you take care and have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.